I was planning for this to be a video about the Jordan F1 team, but I've been very busy with university stuff this week, so that'll be tomorrow instead. Today, I've got a shorter video explaining a possible reason that Leclerc was faster than Hamilton with a damaged front wing in China that nobody in the F1 media has mentioned. So let's explain this real quick. First of all, what was damaged? The end plate was detached from the wing, but also the wing had some level of structural damage. You can tell this from the fact that the wing was dragging along the ground on the straights, but the main elements of the front wing are still intact. The wing end plate is there to stop tick vortices from forming, but F1 wings, front wings, use a loaded inboard and unloaded outboard configuration, which means that the pressure differential at the ends of the wing is not as high. So the end plates aren't as important. They still do improve the car's aerodynamics, of course, but they can be fast with a detached end plate. But the real thing to look at is this picture here. This is the car at low speed, and as you can see, the front wing looks to only be missing its end plate, but then at high speed what you see is the front wing's bending down and dragging on the ground. The rules state that you cannot have wings that flex excessively, and this is very contentious, but of course, if a car is damaged on track, it can race somewhat outside of the technical regulations as long as they don't give it the black and orange flag. But the way that the wing was flexing was particularly advantageous. It wasn't just backing off and reducing the downforce and drag on the wing itself, but also moving closer to the ground. This would interfere with more of the car's floor's intake, reducing the amount of downforce and drag the floor is able to produce at high speeds. Of course, ground effect is more efficient in terms of lift to drag at creating downforce than the wings are, but it still does create drag, so reducing the ground effect downforce will increase top speed. There was even a trick that Mercedes was doing in 2021 before the full ground effect cars. Since even a flat floor will produce an amount of ground effect downforce and drag, what they would do is they would intentionally run soft progressive rate springs at the rear, which would significantly drop the rear ride height at high speeds from the downforce pushing it down, stalling the car's diffuser and reducing the drag. So, reducing the amount of airflow underneath the car can definitely reduce the drag and also the downforce at the very high speeds, like on the back straight. So, Leclerc's front wing may have been blocking the flow to the car's floor at high speeds. But there is a one problem, and that is that this is just an idea at the moment because I do have one crucial problem. And that is I couldn't find a single onboard from the Chinese Grand Prix of Leclerc's car with the speed shown on the back straight, so I can compare it to Hamilton's speed to confirm whether or not the car was faster down the straights. But this theory of what's going on with Leclerc's front wing does make sense to me. Unfortunately, it never mattered in the end because he was disqualified for having an underweight car as the damaged wing increased tyre wear, meaning the weight of the rubber wearing off the tyre was enough to push the car beyond the legal limit. An interesting thing is that Lewis Hamilton was disqualified for plank wear though, whilst Leclerc's plank wear was fine and it was only the weight that got him. An identical car having less plank wear suggests that the car did in fact have less downforce and that the reduction in downforce was further back down the car, since the front wing is not as influential in causing plank wear as the rear wing and ground effect tunnels. Then of course there's the other factor, which is the driver. Charles Leclerc is one of the greatest drivers of all time, but so is Lewis Hamilton, and he already won a sprint in that weekend. But what do you think? Is my theory on Leclerc's pace right, or could there be another factor? Leave your thoughts in the comments.